All right, good Monday morning, everybody. Hope all of you had a great weekend. Um, only 2 lessons left, guys. Just a week. You guys hang in there. Let's get everything done for this week, okay? All right, so what we're doing today, we're going to be factoring monomials. And when I say a monomial, okay, a monomial is basically like a term, okay? Um, Remember, if I have a term, I could say 4. That's a term, right? Or I could say 4x. That also is a term. I could say 4x to the fifth. That also is a term. 4x to the fifth, y to the third. Okay, all of these are single terms, okay? Because there's really just a number, a variable, or a number times a variable. And if I knew what x was and what y was, I could figure out the value of this entire thing by basically simplifying, right? Okay, so what we're going to be doing, if you remember back to last year, we did a little bit of prime factors. Okay, and if you remember, a prime factor, okay, it's basically factors that are made up of only prime numbers. And if you remember what a prime number is, okay, a prime number is a number that only has factors of 1 and itself. In other words, like let's say the number 3, okay? The only numbers I can multiply to get 3 are what? 1 and 3. That's considered a prime number. But something like this, 8, well, I can multiply more than just 1 and 8, can't I? I can multiply 2 times 4. Okay, this would not be a prime number. This would be a composite number. Okay, so the numbers that we have today that are composite, we're going to be factoring them down until they are prime. Okay, this is actually really easy. Okay, all right, so let's take a look at the first one. I'm going to do 3 examples for you guys. Okay, so I've got 62 m to the second. Okay, so let's first take this 62 and let's divide this, make it into 2 factors, 2 numbers that I can multiply to get 62. Well, it's even, right? So I know no matter what, there are 2 numbers I can multiply to get 62, and that would be 2 times what? 31. Okay, now this m to the second means what? M times m. Okay, now when I get to this point, I'm going to look at all of these numbers. Okay, is 2 a prime number? Yes, it is. So I'm going to circle that. Is 31 a prime number? Yes, it is. I'm going to circle that. Now, even though m is not considered a prime number, there's nothing else that I can multiply times itself to get m. So these are also kind of like prime numbers. So when I write the prime factors of 62m to the second, I'm going to say equals 2 times 31 times m times m. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, now the reason that 31 is prime is because there's no other numbers I can multiply other than 1 and 31 to equal that. Now, don't use 1 down here because 1 is neither prime or composite. And 1 can go into every number. Okay, you'd be factoring forever. Okay, let's try another one. All right, you guys try this one. Okay, let's see if you can get this right. All right, I'm going to look at the prime factors I have here. Okay, it doesn't matter which 2 factors you start with. Okay, what are 2 numbers I can multiply to get 81? 9 times 9. And then the 2 factors I can multiply to get y squared would be y times y. Now, I can't factor these any further, but I can factor 9. Now, these are not prime numbers. Why? Because they have more factors than 1 and 9. Because there's more numbers I can multiply to get 9, right? I can multiply 3 times 3 on each of these. Now, is 3 prime? Yes, 3 is prime. That's when you circle the numbers. Okay, so when I write this out, the prime factorization of this monomial would be 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times y times y. Okay, hopefully this is making sense to you guys. All right, let's take a look at one last one. Now, this one is a little bit different in that it has an extra variable. Okay, that doesn't mean anything crazy. Okay, let's take a look at this one first. All right, let's do 51. Now, 51 is tricky because it looks prime, doesn't it? Okay, it's actually not prime. Okay, it is actually divisible by 3. Okay, so I can multiply 3 times 17. Okay, and then x to the second means x times x, and then this y by itself just means a y. Okay, now is 3 prime? Yes, it is. So I can't go any further with that. Is 17 prime? Yes, so I can't go any further with that. And then x, y, x, and y. So my prime factors of this number would be 3 times 17 times x times y, and that would be my final answer. All right? I hope this makes sense. It's really not that difficult, okay? Um, remember, go back to your divisibility charts, okay? If you can remember, I can tell a number, first of all, I can tell a number is divisible by 2 if it's even, right? And how can I know if a number is divisible by 3? Do you remember that? How do I know that 51 is divisible by 3? You add the digits. Remember, 5 plus 1, 6. And is 6 divisible by 3? Yes. So once I know that the two numbers together are divisible by 3, I can divide that by 3 to get my other fact. All right? Okay, guys. God bless you. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon.